Alright, just going to do a quick run through of my new Rodecaster podcaster set, Rodecaster Pro, and unboxing and the whole nine. Alright, so some of you guys know that I'll be starting up a podcast series called the Lone Tree Podcast, and I just want to go through unboxing my Rodecaster set and what I bought in order to do my podcast. So first things first, I got 4 Xlr cables. XLRs are mic cables. They have a male and female end. There's 3 prongs in each side. And these are for microphones, and they transmit audio. I ended up going with 10-foot lengths on these because I won't need to go much further than that to get to the Rodecaster from the mics. I intend to have these interviews pretty close together. There's our 4 XLRs. Boom. I bought 4 simple mic stands. These are nice because they've got a nice heavy base and they only extend up to the mic. And you don't really need to have a swing on them or anything. So I got 4 basic mic stands from Onstage, which is sort of budget level, but good quality stuff that a lot of people use to serve a purpose. They're not high end, but they're really functional. I bought 4 pod mics from Rode. Rode is a really well-known manufacturer. They make good quality equipment. They last a long time. These are not top-of-the-line mics, but they're good dynamic mics. They're not condensers, they're dynamic mics, which means that they'll cover different directions. They'll capture a lot of sound. They're not hypersensitive, but they'll get good quality. And then the piece de resistance, the Rodecaster Pro. So this has 4 XLR channels on it, and then it has a USB, phone, and Bluetooth input. So, and then you have your soundboard here where you can input sounds to click these little buttons to add sound in the moment while you're recording. And then you'll have your levels here. It's really simple, which is what you want when you're doing a podcast, unless you're in a studio, which I do have, but I don't need that for what I'm trying to do. I'm doing these interviews in my art gallery in the actual shop. So this is perfect. This is also remote, so I can take this somewhere else and do the podcast somewhere else off-site and have everything set and ready to go, and it saves to the Rodecaster and I can download it later. Alright, so let's first open up one of the stands. Just gotta cut this tape off. These are great. I've used these before for recording. They're nice little weighted stands and they're easy to use. You just put the mic connection on and they do the trick. They're not super high end. They don't have a boom arm or anything, and they do a good job. So I'm going to open this up and we'll see what's in there. So let's find out. So, really simple stuff. You've got your base stand, which goes like this. There's your stand. Has a good weight to it, easy to use. Now you have your mic connection. So this piece here. So you've got your mic connection here and the base that just screws in, and they're really easy to use and very functional, not expensive at all. And you do have an extension on this, so you can go higher than just this one level here. You can actually go a little bit higher, and once that's screwed in, I'll show you that. So once you unscrew that piece, you can extend it up, so it can be a little bit higher up. You screw that back on. This connection here just seizes up on the other end of the mic attachment so that you can really make it tight. You don't need it to be too tight, but it works great. So that is the Onstage stand that I'll be using. So next I'll open up one of the Rode mics, and these are, they're mid-grade. They're not top of the line, but they do the trick, and they're functional. They're good quality dynamic mics. What's nice about Sweetwater, they always give you candy every time you order from them. So I just had one end I had to untape there, and then here's the mic itself. Let's see what's in the box. There's your guide, and let's see. This is just protective. Here's the mic itself. We've got this thing, do not eat, and it should, so just the mic, got a good weight to it, and the mic itself does have a swing on it so you can turn it around a little bit and then refasten it. So I'll put this one on there just to show you what it looks like. So here's the mic itself. You can see it's got a screw connection on the bottom. It's got the XLR connection there, made in Australia, it looks like. You can change the angle of the mic itself by, there's 2 screws on both sides. The key to putting on a mic is, this is important, you don't want to spin the mic around because it's dangerous. So what you want to do is loosen up this connection on the bottom so that you get the pole that's going to connect to the mic, and then you spin that into the screw. So now that I have this connection there, now instead of spinning the mic around, I can spin the actual pole underneath, and this little connection underneath, this little piece here, seizes up against the bottom of the mic so that it won't spin around once it's connected. So now that's nice and tight, and then you can connect this and make this tighten that up wherever you, whatever level and height you want it on. So there's the mic itself. All right, now let's open up the Rodecaster. So there's gonna be 2 pieces of tape, one on both sides. All right, so here's the Rodecaster Pro. First, I get a thank you from Sweetwater. You're welcome, because I spent a ton of money with you guys. Now you've got to open up the Rodecaster itself, which looks pretty easy. Alright, I'll pull this out. This is nice. So, gives you a diagram of how to use it. Wow, a lot of information. You know, all the things that you need to know about how to use the equipment. Kind of a lot, to be honest. Like, this probably could have been a little packet, but it's kind of nice. So they didn't skimp on, you know, here's how to use this thing, which is nice. So there's all the giant directions. I'll slide this out here. They definitely want you to know how to use it. There's no doubt about that. Alright. So nothing else in the box. So here's the equipment itself. And these 2 pieces on either end look like they're just protective, but I'll check and see. Yeah, so nothing in there. So I actually like how they're doing this. They're doing all recyclable cardboard, no real plastic except for a couple sleeves. So, you know, in the grand scheme of things, relatively sustainable compared to the bubble wrap stuff that you might see in other packaging. So here we are on the Rodecaster itself. It does have this plastic sleeve, which is okay, I guess. Not great, but and it says, let's see, warning, QA passed, and they even initial it, so that's great. So I'll pop this off. Alright, so I got the QA sticker off, and nothing else except for probably a little plastic coat on the screen itself, which looks like a double back, which is kind of nice. So that's cool. Easy to take off. And so here's the Rodecaster, and then on the back there's all your connections. You got your 4 XLRs on the right, you've got your headphones in the middle, you've got your left and right speakers coming out, you've got your USB power button, so it looks pretty good. Alright, last part here, this is likely all the cords and connections. So one thing that you'll need if you do a remote interview, you'll need power. So you can use a small battery, a marine battery. There's also ones that you can get that connect that you can power right out of your car battery. And interesting, you got some sound card overlays. So I could say, like, I could write on here and say this is the you know, the horn, like bow, 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 or something funny, or this is like the laugh track or whatever. Not that people aren't gonna be laughing, or maybe I don't want them laughing. We'll find out. And then, wow, even more. They definitely don't mess around with this thing. They're giving you a lot of materials. This is probably like more of a notepad. I'll have to read the directions, but this is like, these are what the different buttons are. But nice either way. Comes with, looks like a USB connection, which I've got a million of, but not bad. You know, basic power cord with a converter and a USB cord from Rode. So, good stuff. And I know this is pretty self-explanatory, but here's how the overlay would work. So you put your notes on the overlay, saying what the sound is, and you just lay it right over this. So when whoever's doing a show, let's say you have 3 different people doing shows, and they all have different sound bites. You can have, this set came with 2 of these, 2-sided. So you could have 4 different sets of sounds on these note cards. It is pretty handy. That way you don't have to put tape down, and it works out well. So it's a nice little add-on that they give you for free, or well, as part of the price. So now I'm just going to set this thing up and show you what it looks like with all 4 of them plugged in. Alright, so here's the setup. So first thing I would do, get the power going. I tend to always plug things in before I plug any of the XLRs or any of the mics in. I'll get everything plugged in, powered on. And so we'll go ahead and do that now. Get this thing fired up. And this power cord you do screw on, so once it's on there you tighten up that nut and now it's on, so it's not going to pull out. That's really tight in there. So first I'm going to power it on. We'll see what it looks like when it powers on. Rodecaster Pro. Okay, it's touchscreen, so I can say I want it to be X time of day. Looks really nice already. You can see all the pads have different colors. Your mute and audio signals, everything's colored, which is cool. Bluetooth, all that jazz. So we're powered up. So your signal to your computer, you're going to plug the small C cable. That's a C cable there, if you can see that. C cable, the new USB, that plugs right in here. That's your output for your digital information, and then this would go into your computer. And then I'll plug in the XLRs and I'll show you what it looks like. So side note on this, these stands are a little bit difficult in one regard, that they have to be angled in order for the XLR to get out, right? So if this had a boom arm, I could put the mic wherever I want it and then angle the XLR cord out of it however I wanted to. So if you use this sort of a stand, your mic's going to have to be angled against the person that's speaking into it, which isn't always a problem depending on how and where they're sitting, but you have to keep that in mind. So I'm going to take apart the XLR cable. Keep in mind, these little not zip ties, but little Velcro straps are really handy, especially this style, where it's a little bit thinner at one part and then it gets wider. You're going to want to keep these. Don't throw these out. You're going to want to use these all the time. These especially are really handy, and the way it works is pretty self-explanatory, but it wraps around one part of the cord, and you can take it off where you can loop this through and take that part off all the way if you wanted to take this little Velcro tie off. But just leave it on because you're going to want it. So what you do after you're done using your cords, and you're going to have, if you do a lot of this, you're going to do a lot of this every day. You're going to have these cords everywhere, and you're going to want to be able to keep them nice and neat and tidy so they don't get kinked, they don't get they don't get spun up in the wrong way. And so the way this works, obviously, you tie up your cord, or you don't tie it up, you wrap up your cord again, and it's only on that one part there, and then you're just going to wrap it up. And now your cords are nice and neat, and you can hang them on the wall, or you can do whatever you want. But either way, don't throw this one out, especially. These are handy too. You can use these for all sorts of stuff, but I would definitely recommend do not throw that out, because that is something that you're going to want. Alright, so like I was saying, you're going to want to you're going to want to angle the mic because it won't go straight up and down. So all mics are going to have a male end and a female end. And this is the male end, and that's going to go into the unit itself. So we want this to be mic number 1, let's say. So I'm going to put that into the mic slot number 1. And I'm going to put the female end in here. And you'll hear it click. Okay, so it's clicked in. It's all the way in. Like I was saying, if this thing, it can only go to here. It can't go any further than that. So it's going to have to be angled unless I get a different stand that has a boom. Now, let's show where I'm going to plug that in on the Rodecaster. So we know that we want this to be channel 1, mic number 1. You're going to put it in, and this has a click release. So now it's in. If I want to take this out, I have to push that button. Now I can slide it out. Otherwise, that thing is now locked in place. So is the power. The USB is not locked in place, but everything else is. When you're using your cords, just go ahead and wrap up your Velcro relatively tight on itself. It's got one side spongy fabric and the other side is the Velcro, and it'll stay just like that, all wrapped up. Also, side note, if you have space to keep this, you want to keep these boxes because this is great for transport. So this will protect the mics if you're going on a trip, if you're going to a remote destination, and you're going to travel with those. You're going to want to have these cases because they're nice cardboard, really strong, and those protective coating, or not protective coating, the protective cardboard sleeves that are inside there will isolate the mic away from vibration. So I would keep these boxes if you can. Real quick on the Rode directions that they give. It looks like dynamic mics go in every direction, so they actually don't need to be oriented like a condenser mic would need, like one side of the diaphragm facing you. And in this diagram, they're actually showing it poking straight at your face. So, you know, test it out, see what works best. So, looks like no harm, no foul on having the mic stands that I have. Alright, so we've got our Rodecaster Pro. The digital screen is up there. I don't have any levels on anything no matter how loud I talk because everything is down at 0. Alright, decibels at 0. What I like about this already is that since I have to back up a lot of times when I'm doing things, if I click into this, there's a real clear back to get back to square one. You click this button, you're back to square one. So I want to click this. Alright, I want to modify how I'm using the mic. Okay, you know what? I'm in the wrong screen. I want to modify my levels. You can see right now I've got digital levels of what I'm actually saying into the mic, but the actual recorded levels are still at 0. So you'll see that it's starting to read me talking, and I can turn that up. That sensitivity I can turn up. I can turn on phantom power. If it's a condenser mic that needs phantom power, 48 volts. These dynamic mics do not need that phantom power, but condenser mics would. Now I could also go back and I can modify the strength of the voice, the tone. I can make my voice deeper. You know, I can make it really deep voice. All these different things. All right, so you can change a lot of things, and it's easy to use. All right, audio processing. We can add a compressor. We can turn off the high-pass filter. If I'm screaming, I might want the high-pass filter on. You know, there's all sorts of things you can do in this thing. It's really powerful, and it's easy to use. All right, and that's the key. You can always get out of it. Doesn't get you into a scenario where you're like 5 layers deep, and now you have the butterfly effect, which a lot of these software systems and pieces of equipment have. Where you go 3 layers deep, you change one thing by mistake, and it impacts everything else, and you can't figure out how to get out of it. This is really user friendly. And I like that it's so simple to use. So right now I'll put one of the mics, I'll put mic 1 close to me. So I'm talking, no levels, right? Talking, right? So now, check. I'm getting good levels, check. Now if I want to say, all right, I don't want to hear that mic anymore, I've got a simple mute. Check. All muted out. Now I want that back on. Okay. Check. So somebody's in the middle of the podcast, their phone starts ringing. Mute them. Boom. Ding. Okay, all of a sudden we're not picking up that immediate sound. Really easy to use. So if I want to turn up my levels on the other one, now all 4 mics I'm going to have on, I've got all 4 of them plugged in right now. Alright, so there's all the mics. And this is the one I'm talking into that's the closest. So I've got all the other ones up higher, right? But let's see where the mic levels are. I'm closest to this mic and I'm getting the most level. Now if I start speaking really loudly, it could end up clipping on the master. That's your master. That's your output. And that could start clipping. So if that starts going into the red, you know that you're way high. And you need to cool them down. You need to cool down your levels. All right? Lots of options on this. If we wanted somebody on Bluetooth on a phone, or if we want to just plug in a phone for background audio, or somebody that's calling in digitally on a phone or calling in cellular phone, and you want to plug them right in, you can do that. So there's USB in. There's all sorts of ways to use this thing. So this is, I'm really impressed with this already. Here's all of your headphone levels. So like, let's say my headphone mix on the 1, I want to have it pretty cool. I want to have it pretty low. Headphone mix 2 has a hearing problem and they really want to hear it loud. So I want to turn up, so that master mix right here, I want 2 to have the most headphone mix, the highest level of mix. Number 3, medium like me, and number 4, medium like me, let's say. All right, and then output, if you're going to speakers, there's your output. So then you can hear it, you can get it back into the room if you have speakers hooked up. But we're, in this scenario, going into the computer, so we're recording digitally. Now when you're ready to record, now we're recording this track, right? So this thing is recording, record light is on, and we're saving the information that I'm recording, and I can download that later. So all I have to say about this thing is it's awesome. I'm already impressed just out of unboxing, and I'm excited to start the Lone Tree podcast, and I hope you all listen to it. So there it is, folks. So you can have this whole setup for a 4-person interview, high quality, really easy to move around. Save these boxes because it's easy to transpo. And honestly, if you want to, you can spend the money on the actual Rode mic set packs. They have packs that can, bags that can protect this stuff, and it's more high-end. But the boxes are pretty heavy-duty cardboard that it comes with. So you can just use the boxes that it came with until you take that next step. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'm looking forward to using all this equipment. I got the whole thing for around $1,000 through Sweetwater. Thank you, Dustin, over at Sweetwater. You guys are awesome. Gave me a deal on the whole set, and thank you. And I'm hoping that you enjoyed this video and enjoy your podcast in the future.